Right, John? I'm bad at math.
Yeah, yep.
Okay. So that's what you charge for that. And what that does for you, that's the only part of your pricing, by the way. But what this does for you is it allows you to pay for all of your equipment in 20 events. So what that also means is that you could either replace all of your equipment after 20 events with brand new stuff and sell your old stuff, or you can bank this money. And when something does blow up, you replace it. But in the meantime, whatever happens to build in that kitty that you don't need, that's profit.
So let's look at some number examples here. So let's say, realistically, a DJ sound system. How much do you? 10,000, 20,000? Which number should we use?
Well, for me, for example, I mean, I did the math on this.
Okay.
And a couple of pars, a couple moving heads, nothing crazy. Electric voice of all 50s, little Pioneer mixing board, Provent table, cables, all that stuff. Ran around $6,500.
Okay.
You know, for what I have, and what I have is nice. That's retail price on that. Yeah.
So we take our 6,500, and we're going to
20.
And 6,500, divide that by 20, which will give us basically 5%, or multiply it by 0.5. So we're coming up with $310, which would be your gear.
Yeah, that's your rental charge. That's not what you charge for an event. That's your rental charge. Then you have to figure out of pocket expenses. So this is fuel. This is anything special you had to buy for an event. Like if you had an event, for instance, where they had this lime green theme and you had to get a lime green tie or something, you add that in there. Any prices that you're paying out for coffee at like a meeting you may have had, and the fuel that you used to get to that meeting, that's all kind of out of pocket expenses. Figure out what that is, and you tack it on to that $310. So whatever it is, let's say your out-of-pocket expenses for the event. Oh, and you also figure in your average amount of the unique music you may have to buy for the event. So if on average you buy 5 unique songs off of iTunes or Amazon or whatever, what are those downloads? $1.29 a piece?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you just round it to wherever you want to. Maybe it's $15 to $20 just in music, unique music costs. You add that on to your out-of-pocket expenses, because it is an out-of-pocket expense.
That it is.
And yeah, there you go. That gets tacked on the $350. So I don't know. What do you say, John? Out-of-pocket, maybe, I don't know, $100?
I was going to say about $100, I think, per event. Because sometimes I need batteries.
Right.
Sometimes I need
batteries.
I need Excedrin after I've had an event with a lot of kids.
You have to eat.
Yeah, there's always something. I mean, it's just you can go and I can't charge $50 and come back home with $50 in profit. It doesn't work that way.
Right. So let's just say it's $100.
So then that'll take us up to $410. Okay.
That's $410. And now you have to figure out your annual expenses. What are those? That's your business phone line. That's your website. That's your liability insurance. That's your music service too. You get music monthly. Most of us have, we should anyway, have a legitimate music service that we pay for monthly. And all of those things. Oh, and also, the vehicle thing was a little hard for me to figure out how to do that at first to make it fair. So I wasn't sure what to do, because I use it for personal use too, you know.
Right.
So what I figured out is what it would cost me to rent a U-Haul. I tacked that on there.
Okay.
You know, if I needed to rent a U-Haul, and it's going to be a 2-day, because I'm going to need it the day of the event, at least. I'm going to have to drop it off the next day.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think it's $19.95 a day on some of those deals.
Yeah, I've seen some listed on the side of the vehicle that way. Yeah.
And then taxes. Okay, so let's just pretend it's $50 in transportation fees.
Okay, so we're gonna add that on there.
Above and beyond the fuel. That's an out of pocket. Your phone. What's your phone cost you a month?
Generally somewhere between 50 and 80 bucks a month or more.
Let's call it 50 just for fun because it's an easy number.
Okay.
Multiply that by 12, we have 300.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Your music expenses, let's say you do $50 a month on promo only, or 52, whatever it happens to be. And you times that, the same number, 300.
Mm-hmm.
Liability insurance per year, what are we, $2.25 now or something like that for liability insurance?
Yeah.
Annually?
Let's round it to
Tack that on.
250. Yeah.
What else can you think of, John? We got phone, right? Did we do phone? Yeah, we did phone.
We did. We've got phone, music, insurance. We're going to have, some sort of office expenses, whether it's, there's electric that needs to be paid for having any office computer you might have, or, there's incidentals on some of those things.
You figure it out. I mean, maybe it's nickel and dime stuff, but you add it in there.
Yeah.
Your business cards. Maybe you figure, a case of business cards a year. Maybe you figure in whatever your website fees are that you have to pay. And any advertising that you do. Did you do any advertising at wedding shows? Did you do a wedding show this year? Are you advertising on Facebook? Are you doing advertising on some of these like We DJ websites or the Knot or whatever you spent for the year? You just get that figure, and you figure out how many events you do a year. Now we did 20 for the rental.
Yep.
Just for fun.
Yep.
Let's do 20 for that.
Okay.
So whatever that number happens to be.
Well, let's just add some more numbers because we had 300 for phone.
Yeah, keep going.
300 for music, 250 for insurance, miscellaneous office incidentals. Let's put 500 there because that can get eaten up. Internet connection at the house or the office. That's a business expense, and it's probably let's figure that's a $50 a month. So that's another 300 for the year.
You can do office space too if you want.
Oh yeah, exactly. If a person's renting office, that would even be another step up. Advertising. Let's say if a person is watching the Monday night show where I showed you how to take $100 and turning it into $10,000 worth of business for your DJ business. Let's say that you're going to do that 3 times a year. So let's even round it up to $500 a year in advertising, because if you do We DJ, it's there. And then web services, between your domain and your hosting, and if you have to have any plugins, you probably have, without design, you probably have a couple $100 into the online world.
Let's say that you update your website every year. You need a design for that.
Yeah,
designer for that.
Yeah, if you're gonna,
what's that going to cost you? $350, $400 or something decent?
Yeah, probably even with
or maybe more.
Even with that, yes, Huey is looking over my shoulder.
4.
Actually, that is picture this.
Oh.
Yep. It's one of the second album, first being Huey Lewis.
Far be it from me to challenge you on Huey Lewis and news trivia.
Yeah, well, we got into that last night about because he's coming out with a new album, but that's another story.
He's deaf now, isn't he?
No, but I do believe he was having some hearing issues.
That's hearing problems.
Yeah, he stopped.
Sorry about that.
Stopped that. Okay, so we're talking web services, and then let's say let's just putting it as design, because you might be business card design, might be that. So let's put 500 there.
Okay.
So
let's just stop there because they get the idea.
Yeah, exactly. So if we go with 600, 850, 1350, 1650, 2150, 2350, 2850 is what our total comes out to.
Cool. Now let's just have some fun. Figure we do on average 20 events a year. Because that's what we were kind of figuring with the gear, just on average. Let's divide that by 20.
2850 divided by 20 equals $142.50, and we would add that times or plus our 460 that we've been using so far. So now we are up to a running total of $602.50.
I'm at $600 cost. That's where I'm at. So that's what you have to charge to break even for each event that you do. Then you got to pay yourself.
And
what are you worth?
This is where I wanted to dig into a little bit more, because I think this is the toughest area for DJs.
Mm-hmm. but that's it though. I mean, if you go out and you charge $600 for an event, realistically, even if you're doing 20 events a year, you're breaking even. That's all you're doing. You are working for free above and beyond that. But financially, you're just breaking even, unfortunately. So I don't know, geez, if you figure, all the time that you, in the time thing, I mean, I don't know, it's kind of up to you. I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll spend up to 40 hours in prep for an event.
Exactly. There's some that will be very, very high.
And then I got to do the event. And there's a lot involved with that, more than people think.
Oh, for sure.
The client only wants to pay you for the time that you've been at their event. They don't really care about your prep. They do, but they don't. They care that you're prepared, but they don't care about how much time it took you to get there. They figure you're a pro, and they really kind of devalue what we do. So sometimes they just, you're only there for 6 hours. How come you're charging me this much? Well, hold on a minute. Bring it back a little bit. It's like that with anything, though. You go to buy a car. I used to be in the car business, and I'm not suggesting that there are not slimy car people, but there were times when we would get people in, and they'd want to just pay nothing for a vehicle, and it was like, well, we have to have this. We can't go that low. Well, why not? It couldn't have cost you that much, and then you got to go through with them. It's like, hey, look, we had to have a complete safety on this vehicle. We had to have it. We had to have it washed. We had to have all this stuff done to it. Plus, this is what we paid for it. And if we charge you this for the car, we'd break even. That's all we do at that point is break even. So, it's uneducated people. They don't know. Everybody wants a good deal.
Let's put a hold on the time. We've got a really good comment here from Loud and Clear, Texas here. The question is, how do you convey your value to the client? They don't want to hear how much you spent on equipment. You're exactly right. And right now, what we're not talking about the value side from that. What we're talking about is how to get your head around what you should be charging. Yeah, exactly. Because there's so many times that DJs have no idea where to begin, and that's one of the I had 2 phone calls today from people who were talking about the Monday night video, and they both talked about getting to this and how do you establish your price. What's some good information on how you come up with that number? The old days it was call in a phone book, call 10 other DJs, find out what their rates were, and you would be somewhere there. Yeah, and that didn't work.
This is a weird one. This is such a weird one because it seems like this is like a business that, as for the most part, we let the client dictate its value as far as how much they want to pay for it.
Yeah.
But in reality, typically, if you're doing it right, it costs more than what they want to pay you.
Oh, very much so. Very much so. So let's jump back to our numbers now. So we were at $602.50 without our time. Brian, most of your events, when you're doing a wedding, your on-site performance time generally is about 6 to 7 hours, I would assume. Cocktail time, maybe 2-hour dinner.
More than that. I mean, you're looking at probably closer to 8.
Okay, so 8 hours
these
there
days, for a wedding. For a wedding,
and that's what we're going to look at. So you have 8 hours of in essence performance time. You've got your hour of up, an hour of down, roughly,
and you've also got ceremony.
And in the ceremony, obviously there'd be additional charges for if we were doing those things. So
yeah, we can get into that too. But if we're just talking reception,
let's just talk reception.
It's a 6-hour event, and you probably want to be set up a little bit before. You want to break down immediately after. So altogether, you're going to have I would think at least 8 hours involved with setup and tear down, plus your drive time.
Yeah, so it's realistic at most. There's very few events that I do that I'm from door to door is under, in my case, generally 14 hours. But let's say our door to door time is 10 hours, just to have a nice round number because we like round numbers. So we've got 10 hours of our time.
Mm-hmm.
If my time is only worth minimum wage, and we're going to use a round number because the minimum wage varies.
Sure.
If the minimum wage is $8 an hour, that means that my value is $80. That would be $80 added on to that, which puts our number up to just short of $700.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's say I want to do a little bit more, because that would be $80 times 20 events. That means I'm making $1,800 for a year as
No.
Yeah, 16.
Really? Yeah, I guess it would be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
$1,600 for a year for being a DJ. Not acceptable. Okay, so let's just say that our time is worth more than that. And if we take it up to $20 an hour, ooh, $20 sounds like a lot. Well, let's do our math again. $20 an hour times our you've got times your 10 hours. So now you're making $200, which now takes our show up to about $800. $200 I'm making a week times my 20 events. Now I'm making $4,000 a year to be a DJ.
Yeah.
How much can I make by asking, do you want fries with that?
Right. And it's unfortunate. It really is.
So in our situation, in our scenario, we should be looking somewhere between $50 and $100 an hour for our time.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, for me, and Jesse Sencha has asked about how you price ceremonies, and I will get into that.
Yeah, we'll hit that. We just want to finish this part.
I'm not ignoring you here. Just want to make sure we have completely articulated this particular topic right here. I started at $1,000 for weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not tons of dough that I'm putting in my pocket, but that's your 6-hour wedding. So
again, 10 hours basically of we'll call it your time.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be, we'll just round numbers off. So we'll call that $400 for your time. So for 10 hours, you're basically charging for that day $40 an hour. Now, granted, there's more time in the prep the day before and the prep there. We're just trying to get it so you guys can wrap your heads around the day of time that's being put. $40 an hour. Yeah, Garrett. Yeah, $400, and then times that. So basically, Brian's income after expenses is going to be about $8,000 for those 20 events, and that's not bad. That's an extra $1,500 a month
on top of another gig.
And then if you have more gigs, I mean, that's not the end of the world, but you can see how quickly you can end up working for nothing. Or worst case, as Brian said earlier, $602 is what it takes to break even. If I'm selling $400 shows, I'm now having to financially compensate and bring money in from a different source to help pay to perform for people.
Now, Robin had mentioned in the comments section that she pays herself through upselling. And that's kind of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's almost like the oil change philosophy of business, where you can go in and get an oil change for $15. It costs those places money to change your oil for $15. They're making nothing. In fact, they're losing money.
Yep.
But once they get you in the door, maybe you're going to buy tires there. Maybe you're going to buy an air cleaner. Maybe you're going to buy a fuel filter. Maybe you're going to get a coolant flush. It's going to be the upsells where they actually, Valvoline will actually profit. They're not going to profit from changing your oil. That's not how they do things. So, at best they break even, and I don't even think they do that. I think it costs them money to do those kind of things. I go to a Valvoline. It's a really inexpensive oil change, and they give you a free car wash next door too. So, like the oil change costs as much as the car wash would have cost. So it's like a free oil change. It's weird.
Yeah.
But it's the upsells. Maybe I don't want the basic wash. Maybe I want a premium wash. Maybe I don't want a regular oil. Maybe I want synthetic. And then maybe while we're at it, gee, look, we've got a problem here. We need to fix this, and this. We can do it right here for you on the spot. A lot of people do it. PCV valve or just dumb things. Mm-hmm. So what would that be in our case? That would be uplighting or architectural lighting design, as I like to call it. Because it is. If you're not just throwing a bunch of lights around the room, you're thinking about it. You're thinking about focal points. You're thinking about color palettes. You're thinking about a lot of things, not just throwing a bunch of lights randomly around a room. If that's all you're doing, then it ain't worth anything. But if you're putting a little bit of thought into it, it's worth something, and you can charge for that.
Yeah.
And then I also end up usually doing at least a wedding ceremony. And there's a couple bucks to be made there.
Yeah, exactly. And those upsells are great, especially in the case where you've got the sound system already, and you may be taking one of the speakers to the ceremony, so you're not really investing in additional gear. Now,
I found it wise to do that, but even at that, that's another cost analysis breakdown.
Yeah, exactly. If you're doing a different gear,
right? And it's kind of a unique piece. It's not an everyday piece. It's not the kind of something like an LD Systems Value 5 Go is something I'm probably not going to bring to a school dance. There's no reason to do that, or I'm not going to bring it to the graduation party or whatever. It's something that I'm going to use specifically for usually a wedding situation where there's a remote ceremony and or cocktail. So it's kind of a specialty piece. So maybe I don't charge 5% rental fee for that. Maybe I charge 10% rental fee for that. Because maybe it's not going out every time I go out. I got to make a little more money on it.
Yeah. Yep.
This is how rental companies do things too. This is not deceptive at all. This is pretty normal stuff. I know people who charge 20% for things.
Oh, for sure.
I'm just asking for 5%. I mean, if anybody challenges my prices, I can break it down for them like that. So you don't understand. I'm only charging you 5%. I'm not going the full rental charge that most people do. I'm only asking for 5%. It's fair because I'm not in the rental business. I'm in the DJ business, but I do have to pay for my equipment, and this is how I'm going to do it. But yeah, let's say, I don't know, just for fun, because Jesse was asking, LD Systems Maui 5 Go with bags. If you call up Jeffrey at Canal Sound and Light, he can hook you up with that, usually for around $900. Okay, so there's $900. And then what do we really need? We need an Amazon Fire HD tablet. That's what I use. This is the cheapest way to go. If you buy it any day of the week, it's $150. So what are we looking at? $10.50.
Yeah, $10.50. Yeah.
It's $2.99 for the DJ program. Let's say you splurge and spend $50 on a micro SD card, $11 on a case. Get yourself some gravity stands and stuff that you need. Maybe let's say $150 worth of stands and stuff and tables that you need, or dressings, wireless microphone. I don't know, John. Is it fair to say you can get a decent wireless mic these days for $50?
Yeah,
or not $50, $500.
$500. Yeah, there. I was going to say there's the cheapest that I have seen is about $200
wireless,
and that was. But yeah, $500 will get you in a solid little microphone.
So we'll tack that on there. What's our total? I'm guessing it's going to be right around $1,800. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be somewhere at the 16 to 18 is where I was kind of in my head.
So a little portable battery powered ceremony. Oh, and the Colorado Sun and Light lithium ion power pack's $90 or $99. So let's call it 19. Let's just round it up to $2,000.
Yep,
a little under $2,000, but let's round it up to around $2,000 with cabling and everything you need. So what's 10% of that? $200.
$200. Yeah.
Okay. Weddings are a pain in the ass prep deal. I don't know. I'd like to get $450 for a wedding ceremony.
I was going to say I'd be minimum with what you described and the time and such. It's going to be at least a $400 bill, somewhere between $400 and $600 easily. And that's when
call $5 if you want.
Yeah,
and if they get all mad about it, then tell them they can hire somebody else to do that part, and they won't. They're going to bring you in because you've already worked everything out for them on the ceremony bit or on the reception bit. And then cocktail. Okay. You want to be cool about it? Sometimes I'm cool about it. I've been cool about it. But if they've done ceremony and reception with me and they want a cocktail and I don't really have to move anything, then sometimes I'll just charge them like $1.50 for overtime for that hour. If they specifically want me to move to a location to do cocktail, where it's like either a second or third set, in that case, yeah, we're going to have to go ahead and charge them for that.
Sure.
But let me just say a word about this battery powered system I put together. Let me I've justified this.
Mm-hmm.
The way I've done it is I've thought about, and I'm in a unique situation, mind you, but it is my situation. When I have a ceremony and a reception, and let's say the wedding ceremony is outdoors at a venue and the reception is indoors at a venue. Even if I'm only using part of my DJ system for my reception DJ system for the ceremony, there's a flip time involved.
Oh, that there is.
And you got to take everything down, you got to move it, set it back up, and get it running in a relatively narrow time frame. For me to do this right, I have to bring in help. And I don't know anyone anymore who understands how to set things up and break them down, meaning I probably train them to do it, that I could get for probably a good 12-hour day with travel time and setup and breakdown and driving home and them driving home and everything else for less than $200.
Oh, for sure.
So owning the system, I can do it myself. It makes a lot more sense. It's less work, and it's really the same amount of money to the client when you think about it. Because you should tack on that tech fee or assistant fee onto your expenses.
For sure. I mean, that is an out-of-pocket. Yep, it's an out-of-pocket expense for the day.
So the client isn't really paying any more money. You're just buying the equipment to allow you to do it for yourself, so you can eliminate that assistant at this point. Or that's my case. That's how it is in my case anyway. So what I'll do is I'll just run you through it. If I'll go to an event, I'll set up ceremony indoors first, get it all ready to go. That's the first thing I do. And the next thing that I do is I go down to I set up the reception bit first. Everything, lighting, sound, everything, just complete, done in the place where it's supposed to be, if humanly possible. Sometimes you gotta wait for your stage area to be clean, but most of the time, I got room to set my things up. And then I can go down to the ceremony spot, and I can set there. It takes me no time, by the way, with the new stuff that I have. It goes up so fast. I do give myself time because you never know what's going to happen. But I get set and I'm ready to go there. Hopefully I got 45 minutes before anything kicks off. When it's over, I can easily break that stuff down, put it in my truck, lock my truck, walk into the place where they're doing the wedding reception, and just go. It's kind of cool. There's no set involved. I already did the set. Then at the end of the night, you just break down your reception system, haul it out, and go home.
And you're done. Yeah, having that flexibility is definitely a nice thing when you're not having. You've heard the horror stories about, okay, I needed to get that speaker ripped down and get it over here, but yet the guests were there way too quick, and now all of a sudden I'm trying to do this and then it's sweating, and then something doesn't work, and then
yeah.
Oh, the stress of that would just be.
Jesse Sanchez has lots of questions. He said, and if I'm missing your questions, I apologize. I'm just glancing over here occasionally. I know Michael Burke has a lot of things to say tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna deal with a lot of those. There's some good stuff there, good discussion points, and that's
there's a lot of stuff.
So for those of you who want to, we're gonna now deal with questions. For those of you watching the video that were in the chat on YouTube. So if you want to be involved with the chat and asking questions, be on the shows. Be with us on the shows on Tuesday nights. Come on. We had a great crowd tonight. We've got over 50, 60, 70 people watching tonight.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
So
by the way, like the video on YouTube if you could. That'd be really neat.
Yeah. We hit them on both. And on Facebook, we got a great crowd there. Hit up both spots. And you know what? I've got some comments. I got to load Facebook up on my phone because I see a bunch of comments there too. So anyway, go ahead. What would you have? Grab one of Jesse's there.
Jesse says no pay for travel time of assistant. How about wedding rehearsal costs? Well, first of all, your assistant, whatever you work out with your assistant is what you work out. All I expect really is a roadie at this point, a roadie and a tech, and 200 is high end for that. It really is. Most people only want to pay $100. Or $140 or $150. $200 is pretty much ensuring that I got somebody who's not going to get drunk the night before and end up in jail or something. They're going to actually be here and go somewhere with me, and then be reliable and do what I need him to do and not look like a fool doing it. But while I'm doing the wedding reception bit, go sit in the car and go on Facebook. I don't care what you do. Just be here when it's time to break down.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Whatever you charge or whatever you pay for an assistant and their time is kind of on you. How about wedding rehearsal costs? Now, I don't know. I haven't done a lot of wedding rehearsals, but that's a weird one. And that's a whole other conversation.
Oh, for sure. And there's some DJs who have now worked that into because they want to be there. They feel that they connect better and it helps them develop. And I get that. But you just okay, now that's going to be another 8 to 10 hours of my time. And we'll go back to Brian's number of $40 an hour. Okay, I can be there for your recept that, and that's part of this package. And this package has now gone from a $1,000 package to a $1,400 or $1,500 package, which includes me coming there. And if you can show value in your being at the reception for the ultimate outcome of what they're wanting to do on Saturday night, they'll happily pay it. And that becomes the big thing with everything we're talking about here. We've just been establishing coming up with a price. Now the idea is how to show that value so they can achieve their outcome. Mm-hmm. When people are calling you, Brian, and you've talked about this on past shows, they're calling you because they want you to be able to take them on a kind of a musical journey that's going to be kind of a fun night where you're going to work with their crowd and take them places to have that good time.
Okay, Brian, I'm going to just address Brian K. real quick. Brian K. is a friend of ours. Brian K. is loaded with excuses. Every time you have a conversation with Brian about something, he's got an excuse as why he can't do it or why he doesn't do it or why he's not comfortable with that. Brian's saying as an Uber driver, he gets paid. He does not get paid to drive to pick up a rider. He only gets paid for the time he's driving the rider. He doesn't charge for time to drive to an event or the setup time. Brian, you can pay for that if you want to. If you want to go ahead and pay to work, that is completely entirely up to you. Mm-hmm. But you've got to have some kind of business plan and reimburse yourself for your costs that you have incurred to profit. Otherwise, you're losing money and you're never going to make any money. All you're going to do is shell it out. You can't give anything away for free. You can't do it. If I was in business of giving things away for free, if that's all I did, I would be living as a bum on the street. Without I just would. There's no other way. You have to recoup your costs, or you pay to work. Period. And now you can bundle that into another fee if you want to.
Yeah. So instead of charging $40 an hour for your on-site time, okay, now I'm charging $45. You're still compensating for your time.
You have to compensate for.
You've got to cover that.
Now I got to go back to Jesse because I got a lot of questions tonight. This is good.
Okay.
But Jesse was asking, what the hell did Jesse ask me? Something. There was a 2-part question.
Oh,
he was asking about a rehearsal, and you had commented on that. I just had a comment on that as well.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not doing this. I don't know if I will do it. It would probably make a lot of sense to do it, but there are DJs like myself, and I'm somewhere between $1,000 and $1,700. That's the most I've ever gotten for an event without photo booth. Was $1,700. With photo booth, it's more. There are other DJs who normally $2,500 to $3,000. John is one of those DJs. That's what he gets for his weddings, and he's able to get it. If there's rehearsal involved, here's the problem with trying to do it where you make money, but you're trying to heavily discount things. A Friday night that you have to be as somebody whose wedding rehearsal is a Friday night you can't gig.
Precisely.
So somehow it's got to be fair where, if you're thinking, okay, well, I'll make it up in volume. I'll only charge this much money, but I'll work a lot, so I'll make the money eventually.
Oh, certainly.
That's great. But if you're doing wedding rehearsals,
you've just cut half your calendar out.
Prime dates.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, okay, fine. If it's a Friday wedding and they need a Thursday rehearsal, that's one thing.
Yeah, but most of the time it's the Saturday event, Friday's practice before the groom's dinner, and you've killed your night.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are your dates. Sunday, oddly enough, is big. There are some places that even do big on Tuesdays or Thursdays. Oddly enough,
I've actually been hearing, not in our neck of the woods, but hearing some of our
there are a couple
friends.
places here that they do well on those days of the week, just because people can usually get it as a discount. Maybe there's a venue they really, really like and it's very popular, and the only time they can get in there is like midweek. But at any rate, this is kind of stuff you got to think about. I'm just throwing it out there. If you just say, "Oh yeah, well I'll do a wedding rehearsal for you for $200," that's almost seems like you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you're just taking that Friday date away off your calendar. It almost seems like you have to go into this premium price tier to even offer something like that. Like if you were charging $2,500, $2,600, $3,000, you could say, "Look, I do one wedding a week, and I guarantee that I'll be there for your wedding ceremony or your wedding rehearsal." And if they say to you, "Well, we don't need you for our wedding rehearsal," okay, whatever, but at least you're covered. It would be really hard for somebody to say, "Can you come to our rehearsal?" And you're like, "Yeah, that's going to be $1,200." That might be a little hard to bite off, but if you're already at that premium tier, maybe it's easier. I don't know.
And it's not one of those things with specifically the rehearsal that people are going to come and say, "Hey, can you do this?" Unless they have been introduced to the concept of the benefits of it. I in all my time, and I've never had anyone come and say, "Hey, can you come to the rehearsal?" It's just, it has never happened to me. Yeah,
I've had it.
Yeah, I
have had it.
I just haven't, even when we were doing the when I've done ceremony, most of the time it's a justice of the peace, and they've met with them a couple of times, with the justice of the peace showing up Saturday morning, an hour early, and walks them through what they're going to do. Okay.
I did a wedding for Carlos and Ramon La Sal de Vega. It's a mouthful, but that's their name. They're friends of mine. And Carlos is like, a week before the wedding, he's like, "Can you come to the rehearsal?" And I'm like, "Carlos, God, you're killing me." And this is what I did. I'm just going to tell this quick story. What I told him was, "Look, for me to take that date off the calendar is going to cost a lot of money. For me to turn down an event for your wedding rehearsal is going to hurt. But I'll tell you what I'll do. For $200, if nothing comes up on that Friday night, I will be there. But if something comes up, I can't do it." And he was like, "That's fair enough. That's fair." So I went, and this was a gay wedding. So, or same sex.
Yeah, we'll go that way.
What's the politically correct thing to say? The two dudes, it's a gay wedding. They identified it as a gay wedding. I identified it as a gay wedding.
Whatever they called it, that's what you call it.
So it was a unique situation where Ramon really I've told this story before, but let's tell it again. Ramon really wanted his mother and his sister to give him away. Yet Carlos was, I know this guy, he was very much about, we're equals. This is the most normal thing in the world. We want our family to see this. We want our friends to see this. Nothing weird. We're two guys getting married because we're in love. Cool. And then you've got Ramon, who wants to do this thing where his mother and his sister's giving him away. So I'm watching this in rehearsal. I'm watching it. And it's over. And Carlos says, "What do you think?" "I think it sucks." So, "What do you mean?" I said, "I'll tell you exactly what I mean. You've set this up for Ramon as your bride. You're standing at the altar waiting for him to be given away by his mother and his sister. This makes no sense. This goes against everything you guys have been talking about, where you're equals.
Yeah.
This isn't about who's the man, who's the woman. It's just two guys who are in love. But what you're doing here is establishing that somehow Ramon's the woman, and we both know that's not true." I was like, "Well, what would you do?" I said, "Well, I'll tell you what I do. How about this? How about you do everything like you'd planned to do it? You go to the altar, and Ramon comes down the aisle with his mother and his sister. But as he starts coming down the aisle, you start walking up the aisle. You meet him halfway, big hugs and kisses, Mom and sister sit down, you two hold hands and finish that walk together to the altar, doing it together. Like, oh, that sounds really cool. Let's do that. So we got the clergy and we explained to him what we wanted to do. He's like, well, that's weird. I've never done it like that before, but okay, let's try it. So the ceremony, I had catering in tears. That was the tearjerker moment.
Mm-hmm.
When those two turned around, held hands, and walked together down the aisle, that was powerful.
Sure.
That was so powerful. Now, the reason I bring this up is, what price tag can you put on that?
Mm-hmm.
I would have never made that observation if I hadn't been at rehearsal. Now, I wasn't doing anything. I only charged them $200. If I would have charged them $2,000 to be at the rehearsal, it would have been worth it.
Yeah.
So.
And what's really kind of cool about that is that if you would have a situation where you're talking to someone and they were, you felt that it was something that you would want to be at the rehearsal because of the benefit that you could bring to that.
Mm-hmm.
You have got a story right there that when you're done with that story, 9 chances out of 10, they're going to be like, we got to have you there. Just having that insight, just having that experience, just having the value you're bringing to their day, that the prices become, as you say, could have been $2,000 and they would have gotten their money for it.
But nobody knows that ahead of time.
Yeah, unfortunately, many times they don't.
If we had a cool Doc Brown DeLorean time machine and we can throw all our clients and say, here, we're going to go to the future, the day of your wedding, we're going to see what's going on, assuming you hire me, what's happening, is it everything you want to see? Oh, was there something that you'd want to change? Or we can do that. Okay, now let's try an alternate universe where you got, Fred down the road who has a couple speakers in his garage at your wedding, and let's see how that turned out. We can't do that, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a tough business, and it really is. I mean, there are a lot of folks in the room that I'm sorry, I'm just reading questions. Anyway, I don't know what I was even saying, but yeah, it's hard to do. I know, really, quite frankly, John, and I don't know if you'll agree with me this or not, but sometimes people, and Michael Burke's talking about this, he's struggling with asking for the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we've got some folks out on Facebook who are having the same thing. Rick mentioned, or asked the question, will all states support $1,000 events? We're going to, let's put this into the phrase of $1,000 weddings, because there are just some events that no one's going to spend $1,000 for. A backyard, 10-year-old birthday. Yeah, some people will spend $1,000 for it, but probably not most of the time.
I want to throw this out there real quick, though. My business plan that I put together is just an example of how you can do it.
Yeah.
This is what works for me, and I'm very comfortable with it. If you have a different business plan, a real one, but a different one, more power to you. Whatever you're comfortable with. If you're using the same equipment that you were using in 1982, and it still works really good, and you've made your money back 1,000 times, and everything that you make at an event is profit because all you do is play music from the 50s and 60s, and your library was complete 50 years ago, great.
That's part of it. That's a business.
Do that.
That's a way of running a business.
It's okay. I'm not criticizing anybody for not doing that. What I do is field off criticism for my plan. That's all I'm trying to do. If you have a different one, you do it. This is just a suggestion and give you some things to. I'm trying to do is give you things to think about. All John's trying to do is give you some things to think about. This is not gospel. This is just some ideas to try to help you.
So I want to address a couple of things. Mike's been chatting, and Mike, thank you much for sharing tonight, because your experiences, everyone at some point in time, whether they are today or yesterday, have experienced similar things to what you've been talking about. For those of you who are watching after the fact, Mike is in Eastern Virginia, I believe is where he's from, and he's been talking that it's a tough area because the acceptable rate for wedding DJs in his market is about $500. And he had mentioned that if he is quotes above that, or someone comes in quoting above that, he'll in essence get blacklisted in that area. and he's about 30 miles from a larger metropolitan area that has hundreds of DJs, and there's a few of them in his small community. One thing I think, a couple of things.
You're a small community.
I'm a very small community. I've got 300 people north of me here, and that's my town. And we've got, I think I have 7 weddings that are booked within 10 miles of my house this year. And and they're a variety. As I mentioned on Monday's show, I have a show up and play package, which is $11.50, and I have the one that most of the people buy are in that 2000, that mid 2000 range. My average shows for this year right now, I'm $18.50, somewhere in that range is what my average is, because I do have some of the show up and play. And when I have my show up and play, also have to be done by 10 o'clock at night because I'm old.
Oh, that's nice.
That's just the way it is.
I like that.
And it's like, you know what? If you want me there for the extra time, great. I don't care if I'm going from 2 in the afternoon to 10 o'clock at night. I don't care. If I'm
just so we're done at 10.
Yeah. If you
I
need
take
me,
my pill.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Denny's has their early morning but I know it sounds weird, but this is how I've gotten to the point. It's like, if we go beyond 10, it's going to be overtime, and that, to a point, that kind of takes off some of the, are you going to do cocktail and dinner? And it's like, yeah, I'll do all that. And then from after 10 o'clock, it's overtime, whatever we're doing. So that's what I've gone to. And it's been working very well, actually, because I have some couples who are wanting to be done by 10. Yay! Yeah. I'm all for it, because I then have my Sunday to do something. So it can happen. A couple of things, though. If you're just like every other DJ, if you're looking like every other DJ and you're handling everything just like every other DJ in that market when they call, you're going to be viewed as the same thing. You're not doing anything to be memorable. And that's, you're going to get what you get because you are being just like the average DJ. If you're quoting the exact same number as everyone else, that's going to put you into the same. I'm not doing anything to stand out by my performance. I'm not doing anything to stand out with what I'm doing or offering or my energy or any of these things. It's something that you're in control of, completely in control of this. And it might be that you're advertising, you're marketing, or you're reaching to people right now that aren't ideal clients. That's generally what happens, is that when I was doing VFW weddings, I was getting a lot of folks who were into, doing the American Legion VFW, and they were the ones that were referrals and hiring, As time went on, I left those types of venues and I went into some of the nicer venues as I kind of went along. The irony is today I'll be doing more VFW type venues because these are the people who have decided that, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to save money on the meal and the room because I'm going to go to the VFW, but I want a kick butt DJ. I want someone who's going to rock the crowd, and I want Saturday night. We're in this little bar in a small town that's just next to nothing for whatever, and that crowd was on the dance floor. Their crowd was on. 90% of their people were on the dance floor from beginning to end, and there was one song that had had 4 people on it because it was a special request for a dedication. Otherwise, it was wall to wall. And I went and I was trying to record for going back and looking at my performance and my mixing and such. And it's like you can't even see across the dance floor most of the night because there were just that many people that were there. It was great and it was cool, but that's what they wanted. They wanted to have a really good DJ, and the price didn't matter as much, because they were saving money on that. Instead of being in a $50 a plate hotel or an $80 a plate hotel, we're in an $8 a plate, little supper club.
Well, I didn't complete my thought earlier, and I apologize because I've got ADHD in a bad way. But I believe that Michael was saying, well, how do you ask for the money? Mm-hmm. John just made a bunch of excellent points. We need to offer some value, which is probably another show, because we were just talking about money this time.
Yeah, exactly. Value.
Cost. But the truth of the matter is, all value aside, you gotta have some balls. Mm-hmm. You gotta have the balls to ask for it.
Oh, for sure.
And if you're one of those people who can't handle rejection, you got no business in sales. You can't give this stuff away. It's very easy to give things away. People will take what they're given. They won't appreciate what they're given, but they'll take it. But you have to ask for it. And when it comes time to justify that fee, I mean, That's the value part, and that's the part that maybe we could do another show on sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, you just need to be. It doesn't matter if every DJ in town is charging $500, and you're walking in and saying, "Look, I'm $1,100." Like, why are you 1,100 when Jim, Bob, Joe, and Bubba are all $500? Then's your time to shine. Well, let me explain. This is what I offer. This is what I can do. This is how we do things at our company. And here's the service we're going to give you. And here are the things you don't have to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
And here are the backup plans that I have. And blah, 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 blah. Maybe it means something to them. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe they'll tell you to go pound sand. But you got to be ready for them to say no.
Mm-hmm.
You also need to be prepared to be able to explain to them why you're worth more than Bubba Joe Bob down the road, too. Because there's a lot of people out there who will do things for less.
Mm-hmm.
They won't make any money. They won't be around for long. But they will. And yeah. You cannot let them dictate price to this. Cost is cost. It is what.
and if you let them, I mean, that's and I've mentioned this on past shows, the whole idea of when you're and you meant having the balls to quote your price. If you go into that and you're like, I charge $650 compared to
okay. No, Michael, I know you know Bubba down the road, and I think Michael makes a really good point. What Michael doesn't want to do is talk trash about Bubba down the road. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't want to talk trash about.
For sure. That never gets you anywhere. That turns more people off than it does.
I don't want to do that. I was just talking to somebody today about they were talking just friendly conversation. Somebody who had a computer program that did something unique that no other computer program like it did. And they're like, I want to be able to tell people that this does stuff the other things won't do, but I don't want to talk bad about the other thing. So all you have to do is present it as a unique feature. Here's a unique feature from our product that does this. Mm-hmm. You don't even have to mention the other company. There's no reason to do it, but it's unique to your product. Just mention this unique. You don't have to talk bad about the other product. The same thing with those DJs. You don't have to say, yeah, Bubba, he sucks. And he smells funny too. You don't have to do that. Just tell them about what you can do for them. Don't worry about what Bubba does or doesn't do. Worry about what you do and what you can offer them. Mm-hmm. And if they see value in that, then perhaps they'll go with it. And if they don't, they don't. But that's okay. Not everybody's your client.
Yeah. When you look at it, most people aren't your clients.
It's so hard to say no. I know it's hard to say no. You spent so much time and money on advertising, and the phone rang. Oh my God! Somebody finally called me. And you got to tell them no. It hurts sometimes. Mm-hmm. I had to do it twice last week in one day.
Yes.
Say no. And they were like, what? I'm like, nope. Can't do it. I'm sorry. I was respectful about it. And yeah, but I had to say no. Now, day and night, DJ says nobody cares about our gear. There's a lot of truth to that.
I think there is, because they're after the results of they care.
That's the thing. That's the thing. When you're in the selling process, they don't care. Well, you're a DJ. I mean, if you hire a mechanic, you don't care if he's running stuff from Harbor Freight or he's running Snap-on. You don't care. Just fix my car. I don't give a shit what wrench you use to do it. But once you're at the event, I think that's when sometimes your equipment will speak for itself. Is it reliable? Does it work? Does it sound good? Does it hurt anybody's ears? I mean, are people's ears bleeding at your event? Are old ladies looking at you with both fingers in your ears going, nah, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Or is it a nice, smooth thing? Are you creating conversation areas in other parts of the room, and then you're creating a hot spot on your dance floor? That's when your equipment matters. Reliability, quality, sound quality, and really just whatever works best for you. But no, in the sales process, the client really doesn't give a shit. But I believe, like John has said, that it's the result that you can get with your equipment that matters.
And when you're when you're talking and having that conversation in advance, you have to sell the result to help them achieve their outcome. But if you don't, have the equipment to do the job at the level that you say that over promise and under deliver,
Yeah.
that's when you're costing yourself potential referrals and you're costing your reputation. So it's not that I can't go in there and say, oh, I'm going to give you the most incredible room filling sound, and then I'm going to walk in there with some 1985 PV SP what is it, the 388s or whatever they were.
Yeah.
No, they're not going to do what a pair of modern tuned cabinets are going to do. You've got to have the gear. You've got to be able to have confidence in the gear can do the job, but you're not selling the gear. You're selling that outcome. You're selling that thing that they want.
And you don't have to get elaborate on it. Well,
No.
I have LD systems, this, and this. I made a slip earlier when we were talking about how to structure this price. And I asked John, I said, what can you get a decent wireless microphone for these days? $50? And I was thinking $500. I don't know why 50 came out of my mouth, but it did. But think about that for a minute. I mean, you could have a wireless microphone for $50.
There was one.
I wouldn't.
There was one today that was advertised by one of these daily deal things.
Right.
An FM microphone. It was about $100, and it was from a reputable dealer. And people would be like, "Oh, well, it's from them. It must be a great mic." And it could be. I mean, it was a name brand mic.